Adrien was 17, the boy who blended invisibly into the back rows of classrooms and hallways, carrying more secrets than he ever let on. His family had been witches for generations, a fact whispered through bloodlines, tucked away in journals written in languages older than English itself. He and his younger brother, Elias, shared this inheritance, though Elias carried it with the ease of someone who never worried what the world would think. Adrien, on the other hand, always felt like he was balancing on a tightrope, one wrong move away from exposing everything. And as if his family secrets weren't enough, Adrien was also harboring something else, something far more ordinary and yet just as dangerous in its own way. He'd been hopelessly in love with Tristan Moore for as long as he could remember. Tristan wasn't just handsome. Handsome was too easy a word, too shallow. Tristan had this quiet gravity about him, like people were drawn into his orbit without him even trying. He had the kind of smile that made teachers forgive late homework and girls giggle as if they'd been let in on some private joke. When Tristan walked into a room, everyone noticed, even Adrien, who tried desperately not to make it too obvious. He'd done everything he could to get close to him, lingering by his locker, volunteering for group projects, even accidentally dropping his books near him in the library once or twice. But every single attempt seemed doomed to fail. And most of the time, that failure could be traced back to one person, Zane. Zane Henderson had been Adrien's personal nightmare since the age of 5, when his family moved into the house next door. At first, Zane was just another neighbor kid with muddy sneakers and a loud laugh. But over the years, he'd perfected the art of tormenting Adrien. He teased him, mocked him, and, once he hit his growth spurt and started towering over him, he seemed to enjoy lording that height over Adrien at every possible opportunity. By the time high school rolled around, Adrien had resigned himself to Zane being a permanent thorn in his side. And then Tristan showed up. The new transfer student turned heads before he even opened his mouth, and by the end of the first week, half the school was already in love with him, Adrien included. But what really tipped Adrien over the edge wasn't Tristan's smile, or the way his blonde hair fell into his eyes, or even the moment in the library when Tristan bent down and helped him pick up a stack of books he dropped, offering a soft, "Here, let me." No, what sealed it for Jace was Tristan's comic, Love Transcends. The story that had won first place in a national contest. The story that was already being whispered about as the next big TV adaptation. As a big lover of comics, Jace had spent nights secretly rereading the panels online, tracing the dialogue bubbles with his finger, marveling at how someone could take pen and ink and create something so raw, so full of heart. That was when admiration turned into something bigger, heavier, almost impossible to carry. But the universe, as usual, wasn't on Adrien's side. Because somehow, of all people, Tristan had chosen Zane as his closest friend. Sometimes Adrien wondered if the universe just enjoyed laughing at him. He'd spent years dodging Zane's stupid jokes and smug grins, and now the one person he actually wanted to talk to, Tristan, was glued to Zane's side. It felt like fate had dangled something beautiful in front of him, only to snatch it away with a cruel smirk. Adrien could still remember the first time he saw Tristan sketching in the art room. He hadn't meant to stop and stare, but there was something hypnotic about the way Tristan's pencil moved, like he wasn't drawing lines on paper but pulling them straight out of his soul. Adrien had stood frozen in the doorway, heart hammering, afraid to even breathe in case Tristan looked up and caught him staring. It would have been easier if Tristan wasn't, well, Tristan. If he wasn't the kind of boy who seemed straight out of a comic panel himself, talented, popular, so effortlessly kind that everyone wanted a piece of him. Girls whispered his name like it was a secret spell, and Adrien knew he had no chance. Not when Tristan smiled at girls in the hallway, not when he had his pick of whoever he wanted. And definitely not when Zane was always there, standing in the way. Zane, with his loud laugh and stupid perfect hair and the way he always managed to turn every moment into Adrien's humiliation. He hated him. He really did. It was almost cruel. Every time thought he might have a chance to speak to Tristan, Zane was there, standing between them with that infuriating smirk, like he knew exactly what Adrien was feeling and was determined to make sure it never went anywhere. It wasn't just bad luck anymore. It felt deliberate, like Aiden had made it his personal mission to keep them apart. And maybe, deep down, Aiden suspected that Zane did know. The air in the attic always smelled faintly of rosemary and old paper. Their family's magic book lay open across the worn oak table, its pages yellowed and soft, edges curling like they were shy about being touched. Candles flickered in the corners, their flames unmoving despite the occasional creak of wind pressing against the roof. Their father stood over them, sleeves rolled up, spectacles perched low on his nose. "Remember," he said, voice steady, "magic is not a game. You must guard it like your heartbeat, quiet and constant. Never show anyone. Not friends, not teachers, no one. The world doesn't understand magic. It is something they fear." "Yes, Dad," Aiden said automatically, though his gaze was glued to the delicate script on the page before him. His fingers tingled faintly just reading it, like the words themselves carried a hum. Destiny, on the other hand, looked like he was barely containing a grin. "What about this one?" he asked, jabbing at a painted illustration of swirling pink smoke. Aiden leaned over. The caption read, "Elixir of Enamora, induces the sensation of love in the drinker." Destiny looked up. "Can we make a love potion?" Their father's brows shot up. "No." Destiny blinked. "Why not? It's just..." "Love potions," their father cut in firmly, "are not toys. They don't create love. They only mimic it. They twist feelings, confuse the mind, and steal a person's choice. That's not love, it's control." "But..." "No," their father said again, softer this time but no less stern. "You'd only be fooling yourself. And when the truth cracks through, it brings disaster. Understand?" Destiny slumped back in his chair, muttering, "Oh, no love potions. Got it." Before Aiden could smirk at his brother's sulk, their mother's voice floated up from below. "Dinner's ready. And if you two don't come down now, it'll be cold." The attic's magic seemed to fade instantly. Their father closed the book with a soft thump. "Let's go. Magic can wait, your mother's roast cannot." In the kitchen, their mother bustled around, setting down bowls and plates. "Destiny," she said as they dug in, "your birthday's next week. We need to plan your party." Destiny's face lit up like someone had flipped a switch. "I want to invite my friends from school. All of them. Oh, and Fiona." He tried to say her name casually, but the tips of his ears turned pink. Aiden hid a grin behind his glass. "That sounds lovely," their mother said warmly. "And what about the neighbors? Zane and his parents?" The fork slipped from Aiden's fingers and clattered against his plate. "No." "Aiden," their father said mildly, "it's just a party." "No," Aiden repeated, sharper this time. "Absolutely not." His mother frowned, genuinely perplexed. "I don't understand why you can't get along with Zane. He's always been so nice whenever I see him. He offered to help me carry in the groceries last week. And he fixed the latch on the garden gate." "That's just him pretending," Aid cut in. "He's only nice to you. To me, he's..." Aiden stopped, searching for a word that could possibly encompass all the eye rolls, the teasing, the constant, relentless existence of Zane Henderson. A complete jerk. His mother's brows knit. "You're exaggerating. Zane's a sweet boy." "He's not." Aiden burst out, then immediately wished he hadn't. Destiny snorted into his mashed potatoes. Their father said calmly, "He's your neighbor. It would be rude to exclude them." "Rude?" Aiden gaped. "It would be torture. For me." "You'll survive an evening," his mother said, in that tone that meant the decision had already been made. Sank back in his chair, stabbing at his roast with unnecessary force. The thought of enduring Zane's smug grin at their dining table during his brother's party made his stomach knot. The classroom buzzed with the low hum of chatter, laughter, and the occasional scrape of chair legs on the tiled floor. But none of it reached Aiden. He was slouched comfortably at his desk, eyes darting eagerly across the vibrant panels of the comic. The world around him melted away, replaced by quiet, tender moments hidden between the chaos. He grinned faintly at a joke in the dialogue, his fingers absently turning the page. "Wow," a voice drawled. You look like you're about to kiss that comic. Aiden's smile vanished. He lowered the book just enough to glare over the edge. Zane leaned casually against the side of his desk, arms folded, that ever-present half-smirk tugging at his lips. "What do you want, Zane?" asked flatly. "Just saying," Zane replied, tilting his head like he was considering something amusing. "I think I'm going to enjoy attending your brother's birthday party." Aiden blinked. His jaw tensed. "If it were my party," he said dryly, "you wouldn't be invited." Ouch. Zane clutched his chest in mock injury, though his grin only widened. "I'm serious," Aiden muttered, snapping his comic closed. "Don't try any of your weird antics that day. You'll ruin it." For a heartbeat, Zane just looked at him, expression unreadable. Then, without a word, he straightened, that irritating smile slipping back into place like a mask, and sauntered off. Aiden exhaled slowly, sinking back in his chair. "Goodrid." He froze. Across the room, Tristan sat by the window, staring straight at him. Not at him exactly, more like through him. Eyes narrowed, sharp and unreadable, as if he were studying a puzzle only he could see. The moment their gazes met, Tristan's eyes flicked away so fast it almost seemed like Aiden imagined the whole thing. But the strange, tight feeling in Aiden's chest lingered. In the days that followed, that unease only grew. Destiny had been out. Aiden caught him sneaking in and out of the attic more than once, arms full of books, small bottles clinking faintly in his backpack. Once, Aiden cornered him at the top of the stairs. "Okay," Aiden said, arms crossed. "What's going on?" "You're acting like a secret agent." Destiny's eyes widened. It's nothing. I'm just nervous. About my birthday." Aiden frowned. "Nervous? You?" "Yeah," Destiny said quickly, forcing a laugh. "What if nobody shows up? What if Fiona doesn't come? It's stressful." Aiden studied him for a long moment, then sighed. "You're overthinking it. People like you. She likes you." Destiny smiled, too bright and too fast. "Thanks, Aiden." And that was that. At least, on the surface. But every time Aiden saw the faint trace of glittering dust on Destiny's hands or the quick way he hid something behind his back, he couldn't shake the thought that something else was going on. The day of Destiny's birthday arrived in a burst of sunshine. Their backyard was draped with string lights and balloons, the smell of grilled food mingling with warm laughter. Friends and neighbors filled the space, and Destiny floated among them with a giddy grin, especially whenever Fiona laughed at one of his awkward jokes. Aiden stood off to the side with a cup of lemonade, quietly watching the scene. He almost relaxed, until Zane arrived. He came with his parents, who carried a neatly wrapped gift for Destiny. Zane didn't bother with formalities. He found Aiden instantly, flashing a mischievous grin. "Miss me?" Zane teased. Aiden clenched his jaw. Not even for a second. Zane laughed, like he genuinely enjoyed the irritation he caused, and Aiden turned away before he could snap and ruin his brother's big day. Time passed in a blur of games, music, and chatter. Aiden started to breathe easier, until he noticed his parents waving Jace and his parents over inside for what they called a little family talk. At first, the conversation was light. Jokes about the party, stories from when the boys were younger. But then his mom smiled warmly and said, "We've always told Aiden and Destiny will support whatever they choose to do with their lives. As long as they're happy." Zane's father let out a sharp laugh. "That's sweet," he said. "But kids don't always know what's best. You have to guide them. Otherwise they'll make foolish choices." "Exactly," Zane's mother agreed, nodding. "We want Zane to have a secure future. He'll study law like us. Stability matters." There was a small pause. Aiden glanced at Zane. The grin was gone. Zane stood still, shoulders tense, eyes fixed on the floor like he was trying not to flinch. For a moment, he looked nothing like the loud, cocky boy Aiden knew. He looked small, quiet, and deeply unhappy. Aiden's stomach twisted. After another strained laugh from his parents, Zane suddenly straightened. "Excuse me," he muttered. Before anyone could respond, he turned and walked away, disappearing up the stairs. Aiden followed him with his eyes until he saw him quietly slipping into Destiny's room. Zayn sat on the edge of Destiny's bed, elbows on his knees, head bowed like he was carrying something heavy. Their voices from downstairs still echoed faintly in his head, his mother's sharp tone cutting through the laughter and music. "We want to have a secure future. He'll study law like us." It wasn't new. They'd been saying it for years. But somehow, hearing it out loud again tonight, at someone else's party, in front of other people, stung more than usual. Maybe because Aiden had been right there, watching him with those piercing that always seemed to see too much. Zayn dragged his palms down his face and let out a long breath. They never asked what he wanted. It was always about what was safe, what was respectable, what would look good on paper. They didn't know about the comics hidden in the back of his closet, about the notebooks filled with sketches and stories he wrote late at night when the house was quiet. They didn't care. He stared blankly at the floor for a while, until something caught the corner of his eye. A small glass bottle on Destiny's desk. It was filled with a pink, almost shimmering liquid, and it gave off a faint chill, like it had been sitting near ice. Zayn frowned. He walked over, picked it up, and held it against the light. It glittered faintly inside the bottle, unnaturally pretty, like liquid candy. Huh. He popped the cork. The scent was sweet, fruity, and oddly floral. Probably just some fancy soda or punch. Before he could think too much about it, he took a sip. The taste hit his tongue strange at first, sharp and bitter, like chewing a flower petal, but then it melted into something soft, sweet, and addictively smooth. He took another sip. And another. Before he knew it, the bottle was empty. Meanwhile, Aiden was downstairs pretending very hard not to care. Not about Zayn's moody vanishing act. Not about the way he'd gone so quiet after his parents had talked over him like he wasn't even there. Definitely not about him. But even as he laughed at something someone said, his mind kept drifting upstairs. Whatever. With a grumble under his breath, he excused himself and slipped quietly up the stairs. He pushed open Destiny's door and froze. Zayn was standing by the window, back to him, moonlight pooling over his shoulders. At the creak of the door, he turned and smiled. Not his usual smirk. Not the sly, annoying grin Aiden was used to. The smile was soft, gentle, like he was looking at something precious. "Zayn," Aiden said, voice low and warm. "You're here. I was about to come find you." Aiden blinked. "What?" Zayn strode over in 3 long steps, stopping way too close. "You're even prettier up close," he murmured. Aiden's brain short-circuited. What? Excuse me? I didn't realize it before, but you have the most incredible eyes," Zayn whispered. Jay scoffed. "Are you flirting with me?" "It seems I am." He grinned crookedly. "Sweetheart." Aiden's jaw dropped. Sweetheart? This had to be a prank. Some new humiliating trick. But Zayn didn't laugh. He just stood there, staring at him like he'd hung the moon. Aiden stammered something unintelligible and shoved past him. "You're insane. Whatever this is, stop it." But Zayn didn't stop. For the rest of the night, he hovered around Aiden like an overly affectionate puppy, complimenting his hair, his laugh, his sparkling aura. Everyone noticed. Their parents kept exchanging baffled looks, even trying to joke about it. "Guess those two are finally getting along, huh?" Aiden wanted to melt into the floor from sheer humiliation. Finally, unable to take another second of it, he grabbed Zayn by the arm and yanked him upstairs, slamming his own bedroom door shut behind them. "All right." Aiden planted his hands on his hips. "What is wrong with you?" Zayn just leaned against the wall, smiling dreamily. "What do you mean? I'm perfectly fine. I feel great, especially because you're here." Aiden threw his hands up. "Oh my God. This is unbelievable." Zayn stepped forward slowly, eyes dark and intent in a way that made Aiden's stomach twist. "What's the problem? Am I making you uncomfortable?" "Stop." Aiden backed up until his legs hit the bed. "Zayn, whatever game you're playing, I swear Zayn leaned in. "I want to kiss you. I don't know why, but I can't help myself. I really have to kiss you." Aiden's breath caught. And then, Zayn actually tried to kiss him. Aiden jerked back so fast he nearly tripped, but Zayn caught him in his arms and they stared at each other, hearts thumping fast. The door burst open. Aiden, Destiny froze in the doorway, eyes widening. What the? Destiny, thank God. Aiden practically bolted across the room, shutting the door behind him. Our psychotic neighbor is? He suddenly paused, his gaze locked on the glass bottle on Destiny's hand, its pink residue glinting faintly. His face went pale. Oh no, he whispered. Destiny slowly looked at him, guilt written all over his face. Something cold slid down Aiden's spine. What did you do? Destiny swallowed. Okay, I made a love potion. Aiden just stared. It was for Fiona. Destiny blurted out. I was scared Mitch would get her first. I was going to give it to her later, but Aiden dragged a hand down his face, groaning so loudly it almost drowned out his brother's panicked voice. Unbelievable. You reckless little, so that's what you were sneaking around for? He lowered his voice. Do you have any idea what you've done? And why would you leave something like that so exposed? I'm sorry. I thought I locked the door. I left it out near the window as per the instructions. I had no idea someone else would get it. Destiny's eyes welled. I just wanted Fiona to like me. Congratulations, because your plan backfired. You've always been reckless with magic, but this is by far the worst you could do, Aiden hissed, pacing now. And now Zayn, he thinks he's in love with me. Do you know how horrifying that is? Destiny winced. I don't know how to fix it. Well, you'd better figure it out, Aiden snapped. Because if Dad finds out about this. They both flinched. Dad would lose his mind. Destiny nodded frantically, wiping at his eyes. I'll find a way. I promise. Please don't tell anyone. Please don't tell Dad. Aiden let out a shaky breath and sank onto the floor, burying his face in his hands. Aiden peeked out between his fingers. He couldn't believe this. His lifelong nemesis was in love with him. More trouble awaited him, and should Tristan find out, it could ruin his chances. Part 2 coming up soon. Do like and subscribe to the channel for more unique BL stories.